from their encounters with races from other planets. The information is the activation. Let's awaken this world together. We are the forever students, and we will not be silent. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. It's pretty wild. Ooh, welcome everybody to Full Spectrum Universe. My name is Rob Yox. Welcome for another amazing show we've got for you tonight. We have the Embattled broadcast from the great state of New York. Well. It has dropped, everybody. It is time to talk about Earth Chakras, as well as the Morphogenetic Chakras. When we say Morphogenetic Chakras, we're talking about the Ascension Chakras. As we all know it, we have 7 chakras which physically reside within our body, but we also have quite a few more. There are a tremendous amount of them that recede up or recede below us into the lower levels of consciousness, as well as the upper levels of consciousness. So we're going to go over all that. We've got a huge announcement to make. The energetics workshop, the first one we're going to be doing is quantum energy and reality matrix healing, talking about how the quantum energy and quantum energy fields affect your reality matrix and how we can cleanse them, but also some techniques and practices to understand, see them, and to relate, and how basically the intersectionality of all of it, but to essentially how to navigate through them. And what we're trying to do here is we're trying to give you all of the abilities to regulate your reality matrix. And when we talk about the energetics, your energetics is the way you do that. So in the chat, in the very top of the chat, but also throughout the evening and in the description of this specific broadcast and every broadcast here forward until March 18th, which is the Saturday night in which we're going from 9 p.m. Eastern Standard to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard, and it may go over, is where we're going to be holding that. We're going to be doing a webinar on StreamYard, so it's not going to be broadcasted. Tickets are for sale, and with the promo code Forever Student, all one word, you will get 10% off ticket sales. For those of you who are members of the community here and are paid members to this channel, you have an extra incentive where there is 20% off by becoming a member. So we appreciate you and we thank you for that. But just to go into what we're talking about, tonight's episode is sort of the prelude to a lot of what we're going to be doing throughout this energetic workshop. We're talking about the Earth Chakras, which in turn are coherent with the ley lines and the lay of the land. But we're also going to be talking about the morphogenetic chakras. When we access higher consciousness and we access our higher selves, we are interacting with the morphogenetic chakras, or AKA the Ascension Chakras. So this energetics workshop, I'm trying to find a way to put all of them together as a package, but it didn't quite work out like that. So what we're going to do is when we get towards the end episodes, the people who have attended all of the energetic workshops up to that point, we're going to give you a few of them for free at the end for everybody. Also, if you haven't been a part of them, but mostly the people who are purchasing all of them will get the free ones. And, as we go forward, we're going to be doing things like sound and frequency healing, vibrational energies, and the interaction with the quantum. I mean, we have so many different topics to cover when it comes to energetics. But here's the real kicker to all of this. Each one of these workshops comes with charts and PDF files that are worth their weight in gold. Why? Because you're going to be able to use that information to not only look back on it all the time, and you can keep it present and in the now, but you can also spread that information to other people, therefore be an effect on the collective community. And we can do this with love and grace and have all the information to back us up, right? So I want to say hi to a few people. I see Selena's here, KGB, Nancy, Ronnie, Susan, Auric Vibe, Jay Zen. We've got Pamela. We've got, it's so many great people. It's the usuals. We got all the usuals here, which is always nice. We've got Susan. This is going to be absolutely incredible. This workshop is over 150 hours of absolute research. We've got Lynn here. Hello to everybody in the chat. So 150 hours of research have gone into some of these episodes, not all of them, because they're not all done yet. So I'm going to be sprinkling the Eventbrite link throughout the entire evening into the chat, so you'll have a way. But again, the description of this video has a direct line to it, also stating the promo code. And it's not expensive. I'm trying to keep it as cheap as possible while doing this production. But also know that all the proceeds from these workshops are going to be going back into the broadcast to enhance what we do here, to reach more people, but to also open up more avenues of creativity and interactivity with the community itself. Now, one of the great parts also about this workshop is you will be in a studio like I am recording right now, which means that at any given time or point, it is completely interactive. I will not be the only one up on stage. I can bring anybody up on stage. There is a limit of 250 people within each webinar that we do here on StreamYard. So get your tickets now before they sell out, because 250 is the absolute limit. But this is going to be interactive. It's not just me up here doing a lecture. This is going to be us going back and forth as well during certain points of these lectures and presentations. And if there's any clarification for understanding, we can also address that as well. So it truly is a community event, right? So enough about the promoing of the energetics workshop. We're going to be sprinkling it all over our social medias for the next 26 days. You'll see enough of it. And check it out if you would love to. But yeah, if you're a member of the channel, you get an additional 10% off, which is a total of 20% off of total ticket sale price. And yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. It's going to be, this is something that has changed my life in so many different ways while doing this research alone. So I can only hope that you find the same effect in it, and I'm pretty sure you will if it's any indication of what we've been doing here and jumping into a lot of the things that we jump into. And one of the great things, again, one more point, is this is not going to be one of those super hard to follow or understand kind of workshops. We're going to be, I don't want to say dumbing it down, but we're going to make it so that if you're at the beginning of your journey, you understand. If you're in the upper levels of ascension, you're going to understand, and it's going to resonate. And I promise you that. So with that being said, please share this information out, share this stream out so when we get started. Also leave a like, smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't yet. And also please leave a comment once this is finished. We're going to go over the task at hand, which is Earth Chakras and the Morphogenetic Chakras. Now, this is probably going to be a two-part series because the Earth Chakras is one thing. The Morphogenetic Chakras, there are so many of them that to categorize all of it into a 1-hour broadcast, it is going to be absolutely cramped. And I don't want to do that. I want to leave room open to discuss each one and what that means, right? So some of these definitions are going to be a little bit in depth, but I'm also going to pull back a little bit and try to summarize it in a different way after we design all of what we're doing here. So let's start out, right? And this is kind of like the opening salvo really quickly, but let's bring it back to me real quick. And here's the opening salvo for tonight. Now, one of the things that we see with and without the entire universe is synchronicity, right? Synchronicities as in the microcosm to the macrocosm, whatever that might be. So the universe itself has chakras. The galaxy itself has chakras. The Earth as a planet and the mother has chakras, as well as we as physical individual beings have chakras, right? Our consciousness also has chakras added onto those physical chakras that we have. So there's chakras everywhere. What exactly is a chakra? A chakra is a center point of energy, to summarize it very briefly. It is a place where energy coagulates, resides, and either projects or emanates from. So that is a chakra. Now, when we talk about ley lines, we see that ley lines intersect to cause centers or points of interest when we're looking at the map as a whole. We'll bring the map up. So just a real brief, quick look at it. And we can see that there are certain points where those ley lines intersect. There are over 139 of these points throughout the entire world. But tonight, we're going to focus on 7, right? 7 of these between the sacred sites, which is normally at these conjunction areas. There is some sort of sacred site or some sort of some sort of essence in the ground area. And a lot of what we talk about is seeing all of these different things come together there are ancient civilizations that worship these sites. These sites become paramount to them. And the reason is because when you walk onto these sites, you feel the flux of energy, you feel the difference in energy. So by becoming aware of these chakras or these points of interest on this planet, you are now utilizing the energetics of the planet because you can essentially borrow that energy no matter how close or far you are, but by visualizing it, right? And that's another thing we're going to work on in the workshop is techniques to enhance our own consciousness and energetic auric field, quantum energy field, and all of that. So that's why this first session of this workshop is going to be the focal point. And from there, we're going to work out into other advanced areas that connect back to this first actual session. That's why it is completely incredible. And it's going to be phenomenal when we get to the later arenas and we start to discuss why that first session was so important. Another thing about this is it doesn't matter where you are with I know we're going back to the workshop, but it doesn't matter where you are in the world. This workshop will be available for unlimited replays as well as have the ability to start wherever you are, right? So if you're in Australia and it's the next day, all you have to do is hit the link because you'll have complete access to it and start it up. And that's where you can go from. So it doesn't have to be caught live. It can be seen again and again, no matter where you are. Forgot to mention that before, but to get in depth about what we're going to do, we're really going to go into it in these workshops. But to get back to what we're talking about here. So let's talk about the Earth's chakras. And first and foremost, we're going to go to the first place that I have here, which is the root chakra. Just like our planet, the Earth has specific areas of what we're talking about, right? Where we have our root chakra, the sacral chakra, the crown chakra, and so on and so forth. The Earth represents the same thing. There are also something called gates. Now, you'll see on this map that there are gates. Gates are past the seven chakras, just like we have more than what's past the seven chakras. You know, we have we have these spots on the planet that are active above the seven chakras or below. It could be any of them. So we see it all happening right in front of you. Take this map in because it's not going to be up for long, but we're going to talk about the first root chakra, which is Mount Shasta, California. This is the epicenter for this, right? These are going to be very quick. So this is the Muladhara, right? The root chakra. And it's exactly how it sounds. It's located in the lower base of the spine when we're talking about the human form. This is what roots a person essentially to the earth and themselves. In physical form, Mount Shasta has been said to embody everything about this process of grounding. It was long believed by Native American tribes that this dominant volcano had healing powers and a spiritual nature about it, one of which can be felt when you get close to it. To make it more serious, many have heeded the call of this mysterious mountain. And this is a place of congregation for the spiritual community because they understand the relevance and the reverence for this site itself. It is absolutely paramount that all the people listening here should visit Mount Shasta at some point in their life. And I tell you, it will be life changing. We talk to a lot of people like Lowell Johnson, and they hold events in Mount Shasta, right? And this has just totally changed the dynamic of the community. The Golden Gate is mentioned in certain areas, but that is a secondary site to this Mount Shasta in California. So the next place would be the sacral chakra, which is Lake Titicaca. This lakeside borders both Peru and Bolivia, and it is said to be Earth chakra. I can never say this word, but the Svadhisthana, right? Lake Titicaca is the biggest lake in South America and is also the most highly navigable, allowing many to boat through it or through the waters with minimal resistance. It's believed that this lake has a place in mythology and may have been the birthplace of the mythological royalty, right? This is according to the Austrian pharmacy, which we'll talk about in a different episode. It has its own mythology. We can go through. It's like a whole cultural revolution, right? So the lake itself is said to emit qualities that are both feminine and masculine, being the core for creativity and self-expression, as the sacral chakra is in the human body. So we see a lot of similarities happening here, right? There's a lot going on. The artisan pharmacy is it's incredible to listen. Like if you look it up, it'll bring up a lot of stuff, and I'm telling you, it's worth a read. It's worth going through. It's incredible. It's incredible. So the next place we all know so well because of Stephen and Evan Strong. This is Uluru, which is the solar plexus or the solar plexus chakra. So known as Manipura, the solar plexus earth chakra is believed to be the Eladuru, which is already believed to be incredibly sacred. It also has World Heritage Site, which is part of the reason why it attracts so many visitors year after year. But many people believe that it's for another reason all on its own. Uluru is said to have great energy that can be re-energized and help a person reach their higher self. And it's possible that those who have visited have picked up on this as well. The history of Uluru is carved into the rock face with the 600 million years behind it, right? It's easy to believe these sacred power sites and this sacred power station is in the area of the Aboriginal Australia. So we know firsthand what Uluru is capable of. We have done events, we have focused our energies to Uluru with rock circles. By navigating these waters with Stephen and Evan Strong, we have shown that this sacred site is ultimately powerful and worth its weight in gold, right? This site has so much reverence in my heart that this is one of my favorite topics when we talk to Stephen and Evan is talking about Uluru itself and the heritage of, right? This is, we know this site. That's plain and simple. We have experienced this site all on our own without it being one of the chakras of the world, right? So as we keep going, next is the heart chakra, which is Stonehenge, Glastonbury, and Shaftesbury. So, Anahata is the heart chakra, and Stonehenge, Glatsbury, and Shaftesbury are believed to be its corresponding locations on Earth. Stonehenge has had a history of being almost mythical in its mysterious history. So it's not all that surprising that it's associated with a place of compassion and healing. It's here that's said to correspond with forgiveness and giving, two traits that Anahata is responsible for. So Stonehenge has a very eclectic history between the ancient Avalonians, which is the ancient Britons, and also the ancient shamanic Irish or the ancient clerical Irish have a tremendous history in Stonehenge and what Stonehenge means to them, right? The Druid order of the Irish. So as we keep going, the throat chakra is Mount of Olives, Mount Sinai, and the Great Pyramids of Giza. The Great Pyramids of Giza, right? So the throat chakra represents the voice and communication and is located in three different sites on Earth: the Great Pyramid of Giza, which is Egypt, the Mount of Olives, which is Jerusalem, and Mount Sinai, which is Egypt, right? The Great Pyramid of Giza was built with the lunar and solar alignments in mind, and the celestial alignments of each design in ancient Egypt corresponds to the harmony that exists in one's thoughts, mind, and speech. It's worth noting that the throat chakra is the only chakra located on a man made site that still remains a mystery to this date. In addition, two of the throat chakras, Earth's locations, Mount of Olives and Mount Sinai, are important sites mentioned in the Bible, which makes it even more appealing to the common person. While the throat chakra is responsible for the gift of speaking one's truth. These regions are believed to enhance and embody that as well. Now, you're saying to yourself, well, we talked about a lot of stuff, and we talked about Thoth and sort of the pyramids in a way, right? But this is the evidence of the technological advancement of ancient civilizations. And the world has been promenading around this fact and not sort of conceptualizing it. But this stands as a tome of past cultures that have achieved great things, which is the communication it was a communication portion of what we're talking about. And when I say common person, I mean normies, people who are not enhanced. They know these chakras, but we see past that upper echelon veil into the deeper meanings of what these sites are actually attuned to and accumulative with, right? So we're seeing a lot when we're looking at it, and normal people or common people, they see a pyramid, a great engineering structure, a great, engineering feat for the time, but we see the truth behind that. We see the the abilities of these societies and cultures that were predecessors to ours with more advanced abilities than we have now, right? So that's what we mean by common people, I guess is the best way to put it. But let us keep going. So now we're going to get to a chakra, which is not defined in, I guess, space and time in that way, right? So the third eye is floating depending on the eon, which means that per eon or aeon, however you say it, it changes. This is a moving chakra because it is the third eye. Now, when the third eye is closed, it resides somewhere deep below the earth. When the third eye of the planet is open, it resides sometimes in the sky. This can reside just about anywhere. It can also piggyback off of any of the other chakras. So the third eye, known as the ajna, is interesting because there's no fixed location for it. During this eon, which happens to be every 2,160 years, it's said to also be in Stonehenge, where the Anahata is permanently located. While this will change in centuries, the alignment is according to the new age. This is usually corresponding with another chakra's location, sometimes. And last but not, we actually missed one chakra, and I forgot to make a slide for it, but that's okay. This is the crown chakra, sorry, which is Mount Kalihash, also known as the Stairway to Heaven. The crown chakra, or Saraharasa, can be found on Mount Kanash. The Himalayas have long been believed to hold their own powers, and for some reason, it's not just due to their humbling nature, as they tower over the rest of Earth. This chakra is associated with knowledge, wisdom, as well as the universal consciousness. So it's perfectly fitting that it would be located within the Himalayan mountains, which is the tallest of all mountain ranges, right? And just a side note, there are 39 planetary chakra gates, which means that there are 39 major sacred sites upon planet Earth, which were worked with from 1989 to 2008. These sites were fully activated and functional by 2008, later in the year. Once these 39 sites were fully activated, and then the foundation stones for the world's first truly global civilization were established, was when we started to see uh, a, a gradual lifting of the veil and the awakening of humanity. I didn't mean to say vaginal. That doesn't make any sense, but my brain goes a little bit faster than my mouth does sometimes. So, after 2008, these 39 foundations provide spiritual impetus for an additional number of global sacred sites to open up, expand, and to manifest a way of greater life, love, light, and liberty for all beings upon the earth. So, in total, there are 156 sacred sites around the globe. And these sites are a combination of earth chakras and sacred energy centers of the planet. So, this is important to understand. We essentially we gain a lot of energy and a lot of energetic function from these sites and from our ability or our proximity to these sites. And it's like this, right? So we see these energetics happen. Now, some of these energetic sites aren't always of the positive nature, right? If we go to Gettysburg, where there was tremendous amounts of trauma upon the earth, but also to the physical beings that resided during the Civil War, we can see and feel the difference in that site as per when we walk off it. So this energetics works in both directions. It's not just one way. There is a polarity to it. And we have to understand that some of these sacred sites have been congruent with war. And those wars have dampened some of these sites. So, we have to understand these things. And energetics is not just a one-way street, right? But we also understand that there is reverence for these sites, even some with tremendous, right? Some tremendous negative energies, because this is the places where we do our work in the physical and in the energetic spiritual to revert that back to a positive energy point. And this is one of the things we're going to be exploring and working on within this energetic workshop. We're going to show you how to interact with your ley lines and how to use that process to remove a lot of these alien machineries that are enhancing these negative impact areas and basically change it for the good, right? And that's part of our mission here as being the mission operatives that were sent here from our higher planes of existence. No matter what you think, that's a lot of what's going on right now is we're on an op, right? This is a special operation, and we are the special operators, and we are the ones that are going to tip the balances and the scales to be part of that glorified and greater light as opposed to that heavier and less dignified darkness. So let us keep going. So now we're going to talk about an amazing point of interest for many, many people, which is the morphogenetic chakra. And as you can see here, there is a chart. This is one of the charts. This one is not a very in depth chart, but it is a chart nonetheless. We're going to explain the eighth, ninth, and 10th chakra this evening. And the next time we come on, we're going to explain the 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th chakra. You're probably saying to yourself, holy crap, how 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 many are there? There are a lot more than just 15. But I believe that 15 is where we should stop for now because we're dealing with the third and fourth harmonic universe. Once we get past 15, we will end up in the sixth and seventh harmonic universe, which is not something I'm absolutely familiar with. So it's not, not something that we really need to focus on at this point in time. We need to get into the fourth harmonic universe first. So, and also, if you have any questions, please put them in caps lock in the chat, and I will do my best to star them and answer them when we get past some of the presentation. Um, so let's keep going, right? Let's get into it. So, the morphogenetic chakra is a morphogenetic field is a form holding blueprint that stores information for how far that form, and quotation fingers are on form, of consciousness will manifest. Morphogenetic fields are comprised by templates of conscious light and sound, which serve as a blueprint on which matter and conscious identity will then manifest. This occurs at a microscopic and macroscopic level and is part of the mechanics of all creation. All matter forms and forms of consciousness, including planetary bodies and human bodies, are manifested through these morphogenetic imprints. The architecture that manifests template is the 12 tree grid, right? We talked about that in past episodes. So, layers upon layers of morphogenetic fields exist at every level or form that has manifested at each dimensional planes of the universal tree of life. Our personal blueprint is known as our personal morphogenetic field, and it expands to exist at a planetary level a galactic level, a universal level, and as well as a multiversal level. All of these levels of the manifestation template, the personal, the planetary, the galactic, and universal 12 tree grids, are nested together, interconnected as what manifests within our holographic reality. This is what this first session will be diving into for the energetics workshop, because this is the most important point of interest at the beginning of energetics, that we reside, and this is what this means. Our morphogenetic field resides at a subatomic level, a physical level, a planetary level, a galactic level, and again on a universal level, but also a multiversal level. And this in turn dictates our holographic reality and how it maneuvers and reacts or doesn't react to us and around us. So this morphogenics is one of the biggest ways to understand the nature of your reality, your place in the cosmos or the multiverse, and how you can essentially manipulate that to be what, where, or however you want. This is why this is so important. Important. Energetics is everything, right? To describe the antiparticle layers that exist in the higher chakra system. These higher chakras, 8 through 15, are called the antiparticle chakras, morphogenetic chakras, or the ascension chakras. So now we can see that the physical body has 7 primary particle chakras that merge with the antiparticle double of the main chakra centers through the soul and Madanic spiritual body integration, which is the process of spiritual ascension. These antiparticle double chakras are also called the morphogenetic chakras. In the higher spiritual development, which begins at the mondanic integration, the particle and antiparticle morphogenetic chakras merge together into one unified column. This is another example of gender unification between male and female principal chakras in order to create unity or a unified consciousness column. This is embodying the male and female energetics to balance it into a column, which in turn is you, right? Your consciousness is that column, and your consciousness reaches the eighth chakra, the ninth chakra, the 10th chakra, all the way up. Just like we reside in the first density, the second density, the third density, the fourth density, the fifth density, the sixth density, the seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, and 12th, all fractalized from our consciousness as we speak. We reside, or a fractal of us resides in each of those plane and densities. To become aware of that fractal gives you the position of manipulating that density. That's what we're talking about here. So to understand that, is to understand everything. That's to understand all of creation, because you're beginning with the understanding of who you are within that creation. And that in turn gives you an insight into everything else around you. The exterior stimuli no longer becomes exterior stimuli. It's all one, it's all a part of the same larger morphogenetic field. Granted, do we understand? Good. Let's move on. So, the eighth chakra. The eighth chakra is the one that resides above us, past our crown chakra. So the monad spiritual triad is the seventh, eighth, and ninth layer. But it starts connecting at the eighth chakra level, which is the thymus, which is the higher heart. When the monad starts coming in like this, the whole heart changes pattern, meaning the heart chakra is no longer an astral heart fourth chakra. It is a blue heart. So that's what the eighth chakra becomes when you become aware of it. So we're going to talk about the higher heart chakra activation, or awareness. Activation in this place means becoming aware of it, not that you're going to turn it on or that it's going to be something else. Activation means that now you're watching how it works and you're becoming aware of it. And now you're going to integrate it into your understanding of the entirety of what consciousness is. So the monad spirit body is entwined with the activation of the eighth chakra located at the thymus gland. When the permanent seed atom begins to activate, the sequence of modanic integration begins to link with the ninth chakra in a moving gyroscope field and its center axis in the pineal gland. The pineal gland and decalcifying it is one of the things we're going to talk about in the energetics workshop as well. There are so many different ways to do that, but we have to understand that once we do that, it gives us greater insight into these upper echelon or higher consciousness functions. So the eighth chakra is also classified an inner Holy Spirit. The Amoria flame is activated when we are able to bring the three layers of our soul matrix into a triad body connection, mind, body, and spirit. And we begin the mondanic integration. The Amoria flame is the inner Holy Spirit that ignites in the center heart of the permanent seed of Adam that is located in the higher heart complex. This higher heart complex function is located in the eighth chakra and at the thymus gland. So, what does that mean? That means that this thymus gland becomes active. And the permanent seed of Adam is our genetical material, is basically that is this genetical material that's located in a higher heart complex becomes active in a way that we can understand it and see it. It in turn gives us access to the eighth chakra through the thymus gland. Makes sense so far? We can go into Melchizedek's. Melchizedek's is, well, we'll talk a lot with Phil Gruber. We're going to get him back here soon so we can go into a tremendous explanation, right? And when we say the Adam seed, it's not, or the seed of Adam, it's not, we're not talking about actual Adam from the Bible. We're talking about the beginnings of creation of man, right? Or the genetical material and the particles that make up man. That's what the seed of Adam is. So when we talk about things that are essentially a part of who we are, we're giving our awareness to it as of right now, right? And when we do that, we're also, when we become aware of it, we're giving enough space and energy to that point. So it's a focal point, and then it'll, when we become aware again, it'll start to intertwine with a lot of the other things that we talk about. And that's what we're going to get to. So now we're going to get to the ninth chakra. And this is why this is important too, is to understand how the energetics above our physical work. This is an insight of it, right? Sometimes I feel like I'm rambling and it doesn't make any sense. So I hope this is making sense because to me it does, but sometimes the personification of me saying it and I hear myself, I'm like, what the hell? It doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound like my cadence is proper, right? But whatever. We'll get through it and then we'll talk about it. So the monad spirit body is entwined with the activation of the eighth chakra located at the thymus gland. When the permanent seed atoms begin to activate, the sequence of modanic integration begins to link with this ninth chakra. And this is a moving gyroscope field with its center axis in the pineal gland. So there are glands that are working together to give us insight into the upper echelons and the upper densities and the top of the third harmonic universe, right? So this chakra is referred to as the mouth of God. The ninth chakra is referred to as the mouth of God, and its opening is exactly at the back of the neck, where the skull lays on top of the spine. It connects to the medulla oblongata and the rectular formation of the brain and spinal cord, as well as the silver cord in the crown that connects to the threefold founder flame. This area esoterically has been called the golden chalice, for it is the archetypal cup that holds the cosmic intelligence or wisdom. It's the literal brain rewiring or spiritual body activation in order to hold and be receptive to the golden chalice or the universal knowledge, which is transmitted through the silver cord in the crown once your Kundalini activation has taken place. Remember, the Kundalini starts at the base of the spine and works its way up. This is the top of the Kundalini chain. So many of us are becoming aware that we're being connected to another language, another octave, another dimensional layer of accessing knowledge. They are waves of us accelerating into the spiritual body development of accessing this universal knowledge from the golden chalice as it activates this process in the base of our brain. We may not comprehend it quite yet, as it involves a language of code, syntax, or archetype. However, our sensory faculties are aware of something that is changing in the field and our relationship to everything in it. This is one of the reasons, right? That what there's another paragraph to this, but this is one of the reasons that why when we start to ascend or our consciousness starts to raise, we see things in a different light and we start to look at things that we normally would have been emotional about, and now we're a bit more logical, right? But this is when we start to see our exterior world from a different perspective, right? And this is what we're talking about. This is why accessing these chakras gives us a different interpretation of what's happening around us because we're becoming more aware of everything, the energetics of it, this subtext that's above the physical. And this is why it's important to understand these things too. Now, you know, a lot of what we talk about has to do with energetics, even though we're not really saying it most of the time, because it truly is an ebb and flow of how energy works. And when we understand that, we're able to manipulate our physical reality or our reality matrix, as it's called. And we can create, destabilize, and reconstruct in the image in which we believe is a better path for ourselves, for humanity, and for everybody else around us. So, this is the nine dimensional portal area of the Guardian Planet Emancipation Project's rehabilitating the mental body fragments of the male family of Michael consciousness grid damaged by the Golden Eagle grid and the Iran Gate. Do you remember we talked about that a while back? We talked about how this was corrupted by Thoth and the others through these grids and this alien machinery. This is taking back your power and destroying these destructive energies and dismantling these grids that are serving a dark purpose. So, the thalamus complex, or the ninth chakra, in the Guardian context, the Alta Major Center is located at the base of the skull, where the neck meets the skull. This is considered the thalamus complex, the ninth morphogenetic chakra that directly corresponds to the medulla oblongata, an access into the universal antakarana current, right? And as a result of its placement in the head, it's also referred to as the mouth of God or goddess. This energy center in the light body directly regulates many aspects of the brain and glandular function. And the circuitry connects into the Hara center, which represents the location where the modanic identity first anchors into the physical body. In order to maintain connection and communication with the higher heart center located in the thymus gland and to build the crystal lotus breath configuration within the sacred crystal heart, the three main energy centers in the head must be linked together and then sustained. These three energy centers operate as a trinity and connect into three major brain glands: the hypothalamus, the pituitary, and the pineal. The energetic circuitry links between them exist from the top of the head to the middle of the forehead to the top middle hairline, and then to the base of the skull. This trinity circuitry communicates with the mundanic consciousness layers, bringing the communication vibration down into the body, and then the spiritual blueprint pattern is spoken through the throat center and the voice box. This trinity, or this trinity pattern circuitry, allows conscious awareness of our deep heart expression to be brought into the earth realm by bringing one's personal spirit mission or divine purpose into physical actualization. This is how it works. Dramatic pause. I am talking about the force. This is what some people call chi, some people call chakra. I mean, there are so many different names for this life energy, is what we can label it as, right? The chakra is a point in which this life energy pools, right? If you watch Japanese anime, there's an anime called Naruto, which I'm currently diving into the later episodes of. And there's something called the chakra, and it's the chakra is what they call their life force, and it gives them the ability to do things like create replicas and clones and different types of martial art type like movements and things like that. But it's a system that runs energy through their body, and when tapping into certain points on the body, they can either enhance it or turn it off, and therefore it negates that person's ability to fight. So our bodies, this is like a symbolism, right? And you're going to say, well, he's talking about animation, but a lot of this is life imitating art and art imitating life, right? So, yes, Dragon Ball Z calls it Kai. It's all represented with these people who are tapped in to a different level of consciousness, and they're articulating it through animation, movies, life stories. I mean, all that. That's what happens, right? So, whatever it might be, right? This is what we're talking about. They are accessing these higher planes, whether they know it or not, and it's giving them insight into to the mathematics of the universe and to the secret sacred language of the universe and how creation begins and ends, right? So as we keep going, we're talking about the ninth chakra. So right now we're going to talk about the 10th chakra. Now the difference between the 10th chakra and the eighth, seventh, eighth, and ninth is this is the fourth harmonic universe. We're moving out of the third harmonic universe, and we're getting into the solar star chakra, the galactic chakra, and the earth chakra white. This is the 12th dimensional blueprint, right? This is etherical density as opposed to potentially physical density. There is no more physical once we hit the fourth harmonic universe, right? So we keep going. This is taken off of the Avatar Matrix, right? As DNA is genetical keys of consciousness. A lot of this is the 10th chakra. Now we have access to this, but our physical only interacts with the third harmonic universe, but all 10th, 11th, and 12th impulses from that fourth harmonic universe are translated down the line through those particular glands to be manifested in the physical. These are etherical now. So as we keep going, the 10th chakra is the solar star chakra, located 6 inches above the crown and is a sapphire color. The 10th chakra has lines around our left side, and its main portal is a network from behind the left ear to the crown chakra or seventh chakra, and into our soul star directly above our crown, about 6 to 8 inches above our head. This is a triad communication station portal from our avatar or Christ consciousness intelligence. And without this communication hub in our light body, we cannot sense communications from the crystal star at that frequency level. The thalamus is connected to the 10th axional lines and the 10th chakra. So you're probably asking yourself, what's the crystal star communication or what's the crystal star communication frequency? So without the mother arc or the female principle able to manifest into from through the destruction of the planetary logos and the fifth density planet called Tiamat, we were able to have our 10th chakra and all its functions work in our body, as she was the mother frequency link to communicate with our Christos avatar self on the third density planet Earth. She is part of the triple goddess formation of the Mother of God principle. And apparently, with the merging shield, it's the living creature matrix to remind us that we are the rebirth of her tri essence again onto our planetary body and then hence into our own physical bodies. Because we went through the wall in time on 10/28/11, now we are able to gain access to this incredible ancient part of ourselves through the wormhole leading into the timelines of Tiamat. So the 10th chakra has lines around our left side, and its main portal is a network from behind our left ear to the crown and the soul star directly above our crown. This is a triad communication station. Again, I'm saying this again, so it's reiterated. We cannot sense this communication without this frequency. So it's like expressing that our 10th chakra, the 10th axial line, are networks in our light body which decodes the language to hear and directly sense the communication inside of our own body directly. That process is called direct cellular conjugation. The destruction of Tiamat, like a heaven and earth principle living together in perfect harmony, is synonymous with the destruction of sacred marriage or union of opposites and the destruction of the Heros Gamos, thus splitting apart the consciousness of the Christos Sophia. So, what are we saying here? Because of the events in the universe, they've opened up the 10th chakra to us, which is a direct connection to source. Now, if we don't align our frequencies, which is the masculine and feminine, and then access this specific chakra, we will not be allowed to resonate with this frequency, which in turn leaves a part of the story it's cut off to us. So we have to understand that this sacred union of our energies, masculine and feminine, come together to give us the absolute potential of our Christos blueprint or our DNA. Does that make sense? There was a lot of crazy things that were said there, but we just kind of summed it up. So, Tiamat is not just a planet that was floating around the cosmos. Tiamat was also part of our internal and etherical structure, right? It was that Tiamat was named, the planet was named as part of a homage to the 10th chakra. Now, also, that planet was destroyed, which in turn cut us off from access to that 10th chakra. But what happens? Now, since we've passed through a specific point in the universe and we're on that ascension path, it has reopened to us. So, this is the 10th chakra. Now, we have a false 10th chakra, which we're going to go over very quickly, which is the false 10th gate. So, the family of Michael are Blu-ray descendants of the First Order founder ray. They were a part of the family of Michael, and they agreed to be a part of the rehabilitation of the fallen angelic seraphim races. by agreeing to be the support to the guardians of the horizontal grids of this Earth system. And this is also known as the Golden Eagle Grid Pylon Network System, which we've talked about. So, this Golden Eagle Grid is about 57% infiltrated into reverse codes that's been instituted by the negative entity controllers or intruder races. And we're doing our best to essentially take it back. That's why the Golden Eagle Grid culminates on Giza in Egypt. But there's a sacred site there we just talked about, which was the Earth Chakras, which is part of the reason why we talked about the Earth Chakras, because it's to mention that the reclamation of the Giza pyramids is happening as we speak. It's already back into the positive entities, right? So they're using other sites to clear out this alien machinery along the energetic grid, because this has been flipped. And this is only over the last 10 years that we've gotten Giza back into our good graces, right? Or into our light body, or that system is now available to us. So we have to understand that there's a lot going on behind the scenes. And the more we understand it, the more we can take a role in it and have an impact in it, right? So this is the presentation for this evening. And I went into this way because, again, when we get into the energetic workshop, we're going to enhance this, and it's going to go into how we manipulate it and techniques to access it, to become even more, to open ourselves to it and give it its full credence, because there's so much more we can go into. But if I do that, I'll be giving away a little bit of the workshop, and I don't really want to do that just yet, because this workshop is a drive, or a way to make more money, to input more revenue into this stream and into this show, into this broadcast, into creating PDFs, apps, and things like that to help us as we go forward, to have access to this information. A lot of this information that we try to access is behind a paywall 9 times out of 10. But, I see that it's prevalent information, so I give it out freely, and I love doing it. But we have so much more to go into, and the workshop is sort of a crash course, but again, it's more interactive. You can be up on stage with me asking the questions. We can do techniques together individually. We can do a lot, and you'll have access to it all the time, so you can rewatch it as many times as you want. Once you purchase the ticket, it's yours forever. You can download it, add it to your library, all that. And that's again, the biggest takeaway from it will be the PDFs and charts. Those PDFs and charts are yours for good, and you will get those right before it starts, so we can go over them together, because they're integral to what we're doing here. And that itself is worth its weight in gold. It's worth the entire broadcast, or the entire ticket price. A lot of work has gone into that. So, if there's any questions, please put them in the chat as we speak. If not, I hope that this found you with complete love and abundance. We've got so many different things to go over. Such an amazing time to be alive, right? There's so many things going on. And for us to understand the full magnitude of all of it, we have to understand the nature of us and the reality that we live in, because it's on so many different planes of existence that to fathom it all is it's almost making you feel super small. There's so much out there, but we're not. We reside in all of it. So, with all that being said, I just want to say I love you all. I hope you found this information helpful, and we'll see you all in the next few days. We're going to do a part 2 to this. We'll go over the 11th, 12th, all the way through the 15th chakra, and we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep pushing forward. So, I hope everybody has a great evening, and we'll see you in a few days. Thank you all for coming by.